Greetings in the love and light of the one infinite creator. I am Andrii Zvorygin, joined here with Ed, Fred, and Adam. And we will be continuing the February 8th, 2025 session of the Confederation of Planets in service of the one infinite creator. And it's going to be about purpose, service, and cosmic connection, aligning with the creator's light. And we're going to start with this wonderful question about how to align to our higher purpose to be maximum service to others. All right, let's get in. Hello, Kuo. What guidance can you provide us to help us align to our higher purpose and to be of maximum service to others? We are those of Kuo. We thank you for this universal query, our sister, and we first note that many steps upon the journey, the hardships experienced, the suffering borne, and the length of that walk which has led any seeker to look within or to look up and ask themselves such a question as, what is my highest purpose? How may I align with that purpose? And as I perceive suffering and need around me, how may I be of the greatest service to others? These questions are both the cornerstone and compass setting that facilitate the fulfillment of these questions and the discovery of their answers. For the journey itself is that which is the fulfillment of one's highest and best. The journey itself is that which is of service to others. There is not a one all-purpose configuration for the self which, when adopted, locks one into a static and unchanging maximum service or highest density. Instead, it is a gradual process, sometimes punctuated by dramatic change that occurs over time as the self discovers ever deeper and deeper layers of itself. One learns to shed those illusions and concepts about who the self had believed itself to be, those limitations of personality, of defense, of blockage, of imbalance that had kept the awareness of the self identified with limited finite forms of being. This great work of disciplined consciousness to access the heart, to find love where it seems lacking, to heal that which has been or perceived to have been wounded within the self, to forgive they who seem to have caused harm to the self, or to forgive the self or perceived error. This work gradually sheds those costumes which the self unknowingly adopts when interfacing with the self and with other selves. As this journey is undertaken, the self finds a new layer of who the self has really been underneath the pretenses. And in that realer self is so much that wants to be shared, so much that wants to be given. Be that the specific gifts and talents of the person, whether the person may sing or counsel or organize or connect or build or listen, or deeper still, the wellspring of love and light that lives within each soul. This is the creator that wants to come through your heart, your cleared and balanced energy centers, that the creator may shine through you, uplifting and ennobling you as a radiant source of light in the illusion, like the star which is self-luminous in your light sky. And by holding to the question, letting it lead you where it may, trusting the creator, trusting the moment, and accepting what unfolds for you upon your journey is a great art. And like any art or discipline, is one that can learn to refine, intensify, and deepen over time. It is that which brings to you that which you seek, the greatest service to others of which you are capable in any given moment, and the highest fulfillment of your deepest purpose. In short, we may say that each spiritual seeker is engaged upon one great journey to free and liberate the consciousness from a seeming system of separation of an individual identity bracketed by fear and doubt, to move from the seeming position so that the consciousness may merge once again with the heart of the self into the union with the one creator from which the self only seemed to have become separated. Infinitely unique through the variations on that journey are, their source and destination, shall we say, are one and the same, the one infinite creator. In discovering the self that is you, not just an abstract concept of some great nebulous self, but the you that lives and walks in your shoes every day, that looks in the mirror each day, that drives the car, that stresses out, that feels this or that source of tension, that feels this or that node of imperfection, to discover that this self is none other than the one creator. This discovery, this self-realization is the highest purpose for all beings. It is the highest service to others for all beings. It will, of necessity, manifest differently according to the unique configurations of the individual, but it is the brightest light, the strongest frequency of love. It is that which is, unto itself, effortlessly of service. It is that which does not place the personality upon a pedestal, but rather is that which reminds other selves of what lays hidden in the depths of their own being. We are Kuo and would ask if there's a follow-up to this query. Oh, thank you very much, Kuo. All right. So, how's
Mate,
that?
that was some epic reading there, dude. And AI does not get that kind of performance. I'm just saying.
Yeah, see, there you go. All right. So, anyhow, what'd you guys think of that?
So basically, meditate, or or else you're going to be forced to endure third density planet in a second density body, like in session 10.
What? Nobody said that. Man, I don't know. Were you even listening?
I'm kidding. I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
But what I did have a question about is it was towards the beginning of your wonderfully accentuated answer. We were just talking about this last night. In session 10.3, they spoke.
Whoa. Sorry, Fred. I accidentally muted you. I was trying to
it's
turn
okay.
off the video for Fred. Ed, I mean, okay. Go ahead.
But where they were talking about a restitutive process whereby the Bigfoot, specifically, they were talking about the Bigfoot, had this done to them. But I do believe that the answer to this is probably it has to be their free choice to have this done. But where they're restricted in their capabilities of advancing with the formation of certain parts of their body. And I can't remember the exact wording. Maybe if you pulled up 10.3, you'd see it. But
okay, 10.3, you're talking about Law of One?
Yep. Raw contact.
Okay, 10.3. And have any of the Maldek entities transformed now? Are they now still second density, or are they forming some third density planet now? The consciousness of these entities has always been third density. The alleviation mechanism was designed by the placement of this consciousness in second dimensional physical chemical complexes, which are not able to be dexterous or manipulative to the extent which is appropriate to the workings of third density distortions of the mind complex. Okay, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, who decides then when, obviously those people didn't work on enough opening their heart chakra to get to the point in third density that they needed to advance to fourth density positive. So basically, all heck broke loose and, they destroyed their world. So as part of, I guess, from my understanding of that being a restitutive process, they're limited in their physical capabilities to prevent certain things from occurring. Am I correct?
Yes. So by being in second density, they are more limited in what they can do. Like that, they can't cause as much harm because of the fact that they're in an animal body and they don't have opposable thumbs.
Right. But my point is, isn't that kind of a punishment?
Yes, it is. But it's also kind of, it gives them the opportunity to incarnate without the potential of blowing up the planet, because that's what they did in their previous incarnation from excessive warmongering and stuff. So, they might be like a really hostile cat, that's like hissing at everybody, but they're not going to blow up the planet.
So does that prevent them from opening their heart chakra, though, having the restricted physical form?
No, the not having thumbs doesn't prevent you from using your heart.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because that question also came up, I think, yesterday in the Seattle group, where somebody asked about, like, if you had a heart transplant or something, would it affect, because of the physical form being different, because the shape means something.
I do agree, though. Well, with the heart transplant, it gets a lot more iffy. That's very different because basically the past life regressions, like from Dolores Cannon and the in between lives and stuff. Basically, when a person gets a transplant, the other person's soul is in their body. So, say for instance, someone is an organ donor, and then you meet them in the spirit world, then you will see them, but you will see also kind of like strange glowing parts where there's their organs that are still alive and in someone else's body. Because those organs are still being animated by their own soul, not by the receiver's soul. So they are basically being of service to that other person, but that other person doesn't have that organ. And so if they had, like, say the heart, they're not activating the heart or whatever. They're not activating their own heart. It's someone else's heart that is kind of part of their energy field.
So how does it look when you contact the higher self of the person that's still alive that has the organ that died?
So for them, it would be like only the heart is in the afterlife and the rest of the body is still alive.
So you would just see a heart beating?
Or basically you would see a kind of a blank part where the heart is, because basically you don't generally see people's organs when you're in the spirit world. The organs are a physical manifestation. And so, if you were to look at them from the spirit world, you would see this person and there would be an empty spot where their heart is, because there would be someone else's energy field in there. Or you would see, like, if you were to look at their aura, they would have a complicated aura, one which is composed of their own energy field as well as an overlay or kind of an inlay of the other person's energy field of the donor organs.
That each organ itself has its own measurable toroidal field. That every single organ in your body has its own vibratory and structurally, base vibration that is different to everyone else's. So, it would.
That's why in Qigong they have you focus energy on each organ individually.
Exactly. So with the pranayama, man, you're supposed to, as you breathe, you're supposed to actually massage those organs.
And basically, for example, an example is there was a dude who received a heart transplant, and then he became really interested in drumming. And then he did he contacted the original kind of the family of the people, whose heart he got. And the guy was a drummer. He got in like a car accident or whatever. And so that's where he got the heart.
Isn't that kind of related to passing genetic memory physically, just because that was their physical organ?
That would be a very difficult
people like
thing
drumming
to pass.
Their brain. The muscle memory from banging the skin can't possibly be transferred. That's cool, man. That speaks more to individualized morphogenic fields affecting a person than it does
Yes.
anything genetic whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be very complicated for some simple neurons to do that. But basically how it works is that the heart, when it gets excited, it beats faster. And so, say for instance, this guy, while he was alive, he would hear drums and then it would increase his heart rate. And so he would feel more alive. And so when he gave his heart was given to over to some other dude, whenever he would hear drums, he would feel more alive or whatever. But yeah, it is also to do with the energy field stuff that we were talking about. Basically, the other guy, the drummer's soul, is still alive in part in this other man's body who received his heart transplant. Now, it's well worth noting that heart transplants are not forever. They are like for 6 to 10 years, you know. So eventually that organ will perish, and then the person who's kind of stuck halfway in between life and
Oh
death
my gosh, I
will
didn't
be
know
able
that.
to fully die. Yeah.
I thought it was just for the rest of their life. They just like get to use the whatever life's left in this heart.
Yeah, no, because there it's
Is
not
that
a
just
perfect.
hearts, or is that all?
No, it's
like,
all
kidneys?
organs.
Oh
All
wow!
organs. Well, I mean, basically, the moment
Other
that
than
someone
the brain doesn't really change.
actually they found that the problem is not that it's different, and actually the brain does update itself. The problem is that there is an immune response. So basically, if you get like a donated organ, then you have to go on immune system blockers, because your immune system will attack the foreign organ in your body. And it's basically, I've talked to people who've received organs, and it's basically a lifelong doctor's sentence. Oh, you have to go, Fred? Okay, well, we'll see you. All right. And yeah, basically they have to go to the doctor all the time, and that's just their fate. Because it's a complicated thing having a donated organ. Anyhow, and eventually, if they live long enough, they'll probably need another one. I think 20 years are the tops. It's that's kind of like a long-lived organ. And that's one of the reasons on the market they try to, on the black market, they try to get like children or whatever. But anyways, well, I think we're really far off topic here, because this was about shining the creator's light, cool on purpose and service. Okay, key insights for seekers. The journey itself is that which is the fulfillment of one's highest and best. The journey itself is that which is of service to others. Yes, these questions are both the cornerstone and compass settings that facilitate the fulfillment of these questions. Okay. Anyhow, did that make sense to everybody? Adam? Ed? Are you guys still here? Oh, you got to be quiet. Okay. You're muted. Okay. Ed, are you there?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Okay. So, did you have any reflections on the actual text that we read?
Not really. To be
Okay.
fair, your
Mhm.
cool voice distracted me a little bit, and then my mate Gary turned up, so I was a little bit distracted. But yes, I'm
You know what?
here back and we're ready to go.
I was a bit distracted too. But anyways, I think we did this one last time anyhow. All right. So, let's go on to the next one. Okay. Cool. Robert Temple. Did anyone else want to help with the reading, or should I do it? All right. Written a book, The New Science of Heaven, where he talks about plasma and Kordlovsky clouds. Speaking of these plasma clouds that are 9 times bigger than Earth, and 2 of these between here and the moon, they've been there for billions of years, and he calculates they have evolved tremendous intelligence associated with that. Is there a mechanism that we can connect these clouds and their intelligence? Can they enlighten us? Should we be pursuing this? Wow, that sounds really far out. Okay. We are those of Kuo and have perceived your query, our brother, and we would preface by saying that you may not be satisfied with the specificity that you seek through this particular instrument, but we can speak generally to the many manifestations and phenomenon of the Creator in your space-time and time-space experiences, and there are indeed, whether of the plasma variety or others, many phenomenon beyond the horizon of your people's understanding and gain knowledge and experience. Whether it is helpful to connect to other such forms of intelligence in the universe is for the self's discernment, but to seek such connection, we in general would counsel the quieting of the mind, the abiding in that place of silence and emptiness, and the casting of the invitation accompanied by the opening of the mind, that which is there in infinite forms of intelligence in a manifest creation may receive the invitation and respond accordingly, and that whatever level of connection and dialogue may be available may unfold for the self. Is there a follow-up to this query? So basically meditation is the answer. Was anyone surprised? No? Okay. All right. No comments? Okay. Not directly related, but back in 1957, it was reported that UFO-landed Valiant Thor exited and went to Washington, D.C. and interacted with the president for 3 years. There was a book written about that. I've read it, a book by Alina Damon, where she was off planet and verified this information to be true. And so if you feel so inclined to, if you could confirm that or comment on that, it would be appreciated. We are Kuo and perceive the query, my brother, and we cannot speak to precisely how accurate or inaccurate these volumes are, and we may confirm that they do point to events which have transpired between members of our own society and members of yours. At this time, we would transfer our contact back to the one known as Austin. Hey, Ashley, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Great.
Hey,
I am
Ed.
glad to see you. Needed some more people engaging here. And you are such a great Kuo reader. Would you be willing to read for us today?
Sure.
Okay. Here. Kuo, I have a question. Creator has been directing me and asking me to move forward with my abilities and knowledge to help others through everything we're going through now, but I have not been able, through multiple askings and meditations, to get a more precise understanding of what it is they want me to share and to teach. So any information, any insight around that you could help, that you could give me, that would be great. Grateful. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I am Ko, and I'm aware of the query, my sister. We appreciate the angle of this query, for as you have noted, we often recommend that meditation be the primary tool by which one finds the inner voice that can guide one towards such service as you are describing. And you have noted that you are utilizing this most powerful tool in an attempt to discern your path forward. And so we commend you for such a discipline and would provide further tools, you may say, in order to discover the journey before you. We cannot guide specifically for you, our sister, for you have many gifts and a very well-developed sense of your inner world. We would instead point your perception outward and indicate that there is much communication that happens within the manifest world around you in many ways. Sometimes this communication is obvious. The most common of these has been identified among your people as synchronicity or the recurrence of various types of themes, numbers, animals, or any other sort of personal signpost that one can see and interpret based on one's own particular circumstances. And so that is one step that we would recommend for a seeker in your position who has developed a keen ear for the inner voice to then further I lost my place.
Hone.
There we go. To then further hone that ear towards outer sources that may not be so obvious to you. We can suggest a step further in that the qualities of the reality about you contain much information hidden in every circumstance, every person, every entity, every object, every cell, and every atom. There is the light of the one infinite creator that guides seekers and can provide you with information about yourself and about your journey. And these things can present themselves in unique arrangements that you might call symbolic or archetypal. We would recommend that a seeker in your position who has had a long journey of honing tools of service, that the life might become a more archetypal expression within the third density, that you can begin to embody certain patterns of consciousness and patterns of service, you may say. If you learn to listen both to that inner voice and pay very close attention to the circumstances around you, the archetypes that you might traverse and embody and explore become resonant in what you witness. This dynamic is what we would call an advanced dynamic, where the prerequisite of regular meditation and maintaining the inner perception is already met, and the experience of the outer world has been utilized to a certain extent already in the most obvious ways. And then the path becomes much more subtle, and the need to pay closer attention to what you see and sense about you in your waking life, in your day-to-day life, the patterns and resonances that come to you, they all will contain signs and guideposts. And we would offer a further suggestion that we find there is no shortage of within you, particularly, but is an important aspect of this dynamic, and that is of patience for each entity, each seeker, particularly seekers within the third density, will receive opportunities that are necessary for that seeker to unfold into its greatest being. The opportunities will present themselves differently to different seekers and in different ways, but to maintain the faith and the knowledge that such opportunities do exist right now and will exist in the future for you to further your own journey of service is an essential stone of this bridge towards that service. And so we would simply reiterate the meditation inward can then become a meditation outward upon what is about you.
Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, what are your reflections?
Well, I like that this question was asked first because it is, I mean, we get a lot of questions in the vein of like just starting out, but after you've been on the path for a while, you still do have questions and concerns about how to take it to the next level. And so I'm glad this came up. And I found Quo's answer interesting, where it sounds like basically he's suggesting that you can begin to work with the archetypes, like begin to embody them. And this is something that Ra brought up in terms of like what two systems of study would be really beneficial. And Ra mentioned the archetypes embodied through the tarot and the Kabbalah tree of life. Studying either of those would be a good path for the adept and seeker.
Or astrology.
Basically, learning the God forms, right?
Yeah, you learn that in the studying the tree of life, the Kabbalah, but like it also comes up embodying the archetypes. So you embody the fool and you tune into the subtleties. And it looked like Quo was saying that as you embody each of these archetypes, your outer world will start reflecting to you information and subtleties about where you can balance and hone the archetype within yourself. And then I guess you would just go through all of the primary ones in that, and each would bring in certain catalysts. Like the Fool would have different catalysts from the Priestess you're embodying, and the Priestess would have different catalysts and insights from the Devil if you're embodying. So that's actually a really powerful practice, an advanced practice that they revealed in more detail. And I like that Cole brought up to trust yourself and to have patience. Have patience with the process. Sometimes there is a moment where you just need to sit with where you are and just be. And so that was very important too. And that's all I
So
can
yeah,
remember.
that's one of the big teachings that they have in the Bota thing. The whole that once again is the tarot is the kind of the archetypal pattern for how. Well, the tree is really the pattern. The tarot is just kind of the way of putting it into real life and put it into kind of these archetypal situations.
Like
Uh,
it's
and
like one can be used to study the nature of reality and the nature of higher consciousness within that framework of created reality, because it's like the scaffolding, it's behind it, it's giving it beingness. But the archetypes are very your third density body related, so you can tune into them and it will affect your incarnation. So one is more about the person and one is more about understanding what exists around that individualized consciousness.
yeah, I agree totally. It's like the tarot is the way that you personally can interact with the tree, with the pattern, thing that makes it all.
Uh-huh. That's very interesting. I never saw the tarot, I never saw the archetypes within the Kabbalah so like exactly like that before. But I see what you mean.
And I mean, like, really, when you think about like the way that the you know the boat, especially, I wish Des was still here because she knows all about this. But they teach that the tarot cards are talismanic images. So just by staring at it and meditating on it, the card will speak to you.
Yes.
It's
That's
like
true.
because of the way, because of the energies they carry, that essentially just by you trying to meditate and understand what it is, the card will explain itself. And then once you kind of learn to kind of embody that and like live that, then once again this is like practices of how you actually kind of learn the mind of the you know the one in for the thought, like, you know, it's like how.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least our logos, because Ra does say that the hermetic tree of life was only made, it was made by our logos, and not all planets or and
Right.
galaxies use it as the
Right.
pattern. And that's because we're heroes. Yeah.
Mhm. I like this part where it says the meditation inward can then become a meditation outward upon what is about you. I feel like it's kind of like as you get more attuned to meditation, it's just like it just becomes a part of daily life. You know, you're just like going through your day and you're just like kind of like feeling the energies, and it's easier for you to recognize those subtle hints and things like that. And you know, when people think about you in time space at least and process various catalysts that way, and yeah, it's just like that kind of blending as they call it.
Yeah. And it makes you more sensitive, because that's what it comes down to, right? Awareness. Because we're always bombarded with opportunities, but are we sensitive enough to see them in the moment? So it's like increasing sensitivity with which happens if your meditation is outward and also like focused in your daily life.
Yeah, and also the other
Mhm.
thing that I thought interesting that they said is, follow the synchronicities. That's
Mm.
when you know. That's when you know everything's going well.
Yes.
That's when you know everything's working. That's when you know that the path is you're following the plan. Yeah, because the universe just sorts you out. The synchronicities keep happening. You know you're doing it right.
Right. Like when people see 1111, a lot of people are getting that. Some people get 666. Some people get 999, and so on.
Yeah.
The other thing I really liked is it mentioned animal spirits, which is my favorite one.
Yes.
yeah.
I never get numbers ever, but I see animals all the time that mean things.
Mhm.
Right?
The
And that
most
right there, and it's so great to hear Quo kind of acknowledge that, because I don't know, the numbers thing's never been
because
my
you're
thing.
dyslexic,
Animal
right? So
signs, I've been around like doing since I've been a kid.
yes. And it says here the most sometimes this communication obvious, the most common of these has been identified among your people as synchronicity or the recurrence of various types of themes, numbers, animals, or any other sort of personal signposts that can be seen and interpreted based on one's own particular circumstances.
Yeah. I've
Mhm.
been seeing like foxes recently. Like
That's
foxes.
my ginky. That's my gink coming to see ya.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Should we do the next one then?
Let's do it.
All right. So, yes, Kuo. We all have to make a choice of service to self or to others, but I'm concerned that a lot of people in my family and around me have no sense of meaning and they just unconsciously follow a purpose, either because they're thought that's a good thing or they're following what society does. And so they lose sight of this and they get distracted by negative influences. My question is, how important is it for someone to formally stop and say, this is my choice, this is my purpose in life, I will be devoted to myself or to service to others, and this will be my path going forward?
I am Ko, and aware of the query, my brother. We find this to be a very important query at this moment upon your planet, for as you are aware, your planet and the people upon it are undergoing a transformation. And in this transformation, for the seekers within third density, that choice identified in the query is of the utmost importance for those seekers to advance along the path. We would address the specifics of your query from several angles. We would begin by reiterating a message that we delivered previously, and that is that each entity will receive the opportunity that it needs to continue on its journey. This is, in our experience, universally true, no matter the circumstance and no matter the entity. It can often seem otherwise within the third density. For within the darkness of your veiled perception, much can seem chaotic or random or overly complicated, and thus it is not obvious to you that the opportunities presented to you or to your other selves are indeed opportunities. They may seem to be just happenstance and easily dismissed. This is the nature of the third density as we understand it, that the necessity of the individual seeker is not apparent, and thus there is a, you might say, built in dynamic within the third density to amplify the catalyst that a seeker experiences until that catalyst is realized for what it is, and that is a transformative gift, a potent alchemical solution offered to each individual that they can take and utilize for that positive transformation. This may not happen within a single lifetime or multiple lifetimes. There are many seekers upon your planet whose origins are upon a third density planet elsewhere, who for one reason or another were unable to grasp that thread and point the needle. And so they join you here for further attempts. This is not a failure, and this is not to be looked down upon in any way. It is simply the journey of each individual and an expression of the free will offered to each individual to play within the what you might call outrageous circumstances of third density, and to realize those circumstances as being divinely constructed for the self, so that they can recognize the true nature of self within the heart and move forward. You ask within your query, how important is it for the seeker to explicitly declare that this is my choice, whether service to self or service to others, and that this is the path that I will follow? We will say that in our perception, this declaration has many, many forms within your third density and is not always apparent, especially to those seekers such as you who have dedicated themselves very strongly to a path of spiritual seeking and to exploring various spiritual systems that live within your world. For there are many seekers who would not necessarily describe their path as spiritual, but the nature of their choice can be seen in their eyes and in their hearts, how they express themselves to the world, how they receive their other selves, how they desire to share themselves with the world. None of this requires an explicit statement on behalf of the seeker and a recognition that there is a metaphysical system of polarity or the specific jargon one might ascribe to such moral progression. But there is a recognition within that seeker who has made the choice within the self that this is the path that they chose and that they wish to continue pursuing. This may be the most simple expression of love whenever they can discover it within themselves, or alternatively, a maneuvering and manipulation socially if they have chosen the path of service to self, despite not recognizing what they are doing is spiritually significant. It can still be significant without the conscious realization.
All right. Thank you,
Mm-hmm.
my sister. Or
Yes.
So it's not about
Welcome, my brother.
actually knowing that you're doing the right thing. It's just about doing the right thing. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
whether you know whether it's right or not.
Yes.
Doesn't matter whether you know whether the right God to call on or the right whatever. If you're doing the right thing,
It's
you're
like,
all
but
right.
Well,
and the
if you're
right thing,
polarizing,
yes, if
go.
you're polarizing, because the right thing will be different things for different incarnations. But yeah, it's like your intent, which comes up a lot in Elo research channelings. Your intent is very important behind the things you do, so that even if you don't know about the law of one, if you don't know what STO or STS is, like Quo is saying, you you can still express the law of one in your actions, in your thoughts and feelings, and how you, as they said, express yourself to the world and behave to other selves. So it's more than just like a, it's beyond words, it's beyond text, it's beyond beings, it's an embodiment. And that's important. And I also like that Quo was talking about, we don't know who, we don't know what everyone's themes to explore were when they came to this incarnation. So we may see them and think that, oh, the things happening to them are because they have no consciousness, the no conscious awareness of what's going on. But even behind all the seemingly random or confusing catalysts that we see maybe friends and family have, and we think it has no meaning, it all has meaning. They have their higher self and their blueprint that they made with their themes to explore here, and that's what they're doing. And you don't know how the one infinite creator is moving in an incarnation. They don't have to know anything about anything. there's always a sacred process going on. That's what
Everything's always perfect, right? See the creator in all things.
right.
Yes, and I mean, there's lots of good examples from before, like for instance, like Taras Bilba or whatever, the Ukrainian service to self dude. You know, he and Rasputin
Yeah.
and even Mao Zedong, they all polarized service to self without even realizing that that was one of the options. Or Genghis Khan,
Yeah.
you know, and similarly, you know, Gandhi and you know, many service to others people may not have intentionally followed a service to others path, but well, I mean, Gandhi did live a service to others life, but he didn't see it as a spiritual thing, more of a, you know, a political and a social justice calling. Um, but
I'm pretty
certainly
sure he had
there's lots of spirituality to it.
Yeah.
But in
Well,
Hinduism
what
there
is it?
is
What is it? I read
no
somewhere that
such
Mother Teresa was
choice.
actually a bit of a dick.
I
What?
don't know about Mother Teresa. There's a lot of strange information about her. I don't know
Yeah,
if
like
any
apparently she
what of it is
literally
valid.
like literally was like just let loads of people die unnecessarily and like really dark stuff.
I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of
I was just shocked. I was like,
strange.
what? No,
I
not Mother
don't.
Teresa. No.
Maybe she was depolarized and possessed by an STS entity.
100%. That could be possible. That could be possible.
I think that happened to Yogi Bhajan too.
Who's Yogi
Yeah.
Bhajan? I don't know, but I think that could have happened to
And
that Sadhguru guy.
and me sometimes, I think.
Who you said? Who else you said, Andrii?
Sadhguru.
Really?
Well, I don't know. At least like
I do
the
not
last
agree
I
with
saw of him,
lots
he
of
was
the things
promoting
says, so
depopulation,
maybe.
and then I haven't heard anything from him since.
What you
So-
mean, like trying to institute birth control and things so that children aren't born into homes where they're not going to be fed and
No,
property?
well, it was he was at some World Economic Forum Davos event, and he was all in favor of depopulation, and he said that everyone who's following him is also in favor of depopulation and not
Sure.
having children ever.
He actually said the word depopulation.
I'm pretty sure he did. I mean, you could look up the clip, but I just haven't heard anything from him since. I don't know if that's a result of that, or I don't know. It's hard to judge, and we can never know, because at the last moment they can be like the thief on the cross and then decide to
Right,
be,
exactly.
service to others. So you can't know anyone who's alive. It's always up in the air.
Yeah.
You know, they might be making a service to self choice one day, a service to others choice the other. Like, people grow and develop over time. I know, like, for example, like some Russian influencers, you know, they had, you know, very service to self stuff to say, and they were clearly on the service to self side, but then they kind of like matured, and then they became more moderate and like more neutral, and then maybe even sometimes service to others. So you just don't know where it's gonna go. It's
And I always
over the
try to
place.
stick to the adage, yeah, that we as human beings, we're supposed to be the middle pillar. We're not supposed to be one or the other. That means that in our position, is it better to convince an angel or control a demon? But we do have the choice for both.
Well, in at least the Confederation and all the service to others teachings I know, the angels are there ready to serve. You don't need to convince them. They're happy to serve.
It depends what you want to get them to do, dude.
Well, I mean, it would have to be something service to others.
But that's what I'm saying, right? If you ask your angels to do something that they're not gonna like doing, they won't do it. Whereas you can control a demon, so it has no choice but do what you tell it.
Well, that would be very service to self.
No. Not if you were
Yes.
doing a service to others action by using that demon to help somebody.
I
That's
would
why middle pillar works, because
no,
as long as you're always doing positive actions from a place of love, you're always on the good side of the pillar.
but if you are controlling other people against their free will, that
And you're
is
controlling negative
self.
entities to try to
It
bring them
doesn't
towards a
matter.
higher
It doesn't.
polarization.
They are
No
all
one can
one.
really argue with that.
We are all one. Negative
Yeah,
entities
we're all
cannot
one. We're all one, dude. We're
withstand
all one. But
forgiveness, love, and kindness. And if you admit to them that they are being of service to
I am
others
kind
to
to
them,
demons
you
after. I give
depolarize
them
them.
stuff. I'm like, thanks, dude. I get it. Cheers. You're lovely. You're lovely. I'm kind to them. But like,
Well,
they're
if
not
you're kind to them, then they're stick around, they're probably angels that are pretending to be demons for you because that's who you want to be interacting with.
I've got my angels. I've got my demons. Yeah, we have a macabre field. Yeah, it's two spinning pyramids. At the corners of each pyramid, you got an angel. The corners of the bottom pyramid, you got a demon. Yeah, that's what you got. Everyone's got the same. Yeah,
Well,
I've gone
that's in your
through, met
belief
my angels.
system.
They're all really lovely. I accidentally killed one of my demons, which is a bit fucked up because I haven't been able to stop thinking about deaths ever since, just because I think one of the other demons has taken over. But it's okay.
Well,
The angels really did look disappointed with me when I killed it.
okay. Well, I have different beliefs on this matter, so that's all right.
Honestly, dude, go read Ellis Levi. He's got all the rituals how to do it. Yeah,
That's
when you
no.
meet the
I am not
angels, they're
interested in
really lovely.
reading
Really
some kind
lovely.
of demon mancer
I
book,
just try to
man.
avoid the demon parts. Just do the shadow work instead.
Well, no, that's all right, man. I know how to do that, and it's through gratitude, love, and kindness.
Exactly, dude. Seriously, your demons, yeah, your demons are probably like the ones that like run around at the bottom of hell, cleaning up the rubbish, trying to not get noticed by anybody because they don't like, actually do any work. So it's like, oh yeah, this Andrii dude, he's perfect. Yeah,
What
he's
is
gonna
that
for the
blue
love of
drink
forgive us.
you're
Yeah, we're gonna be
drinking?
his demons.
Methylene blue.
What are your thoughts on that? Have you noticed any changes? How long you been doing that for?
I don't know. My wife got it, and I looked it up, and it seemed to be fairly positive. But actually, I have my own mineral water. Like I actually have a lot of other stuff in this. Like,
Speed.
I have a nutrient powder that's got potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, calcium, like basically
Speed.
all the electrolytes. And then I have BCAA powder, and because this is nighttime, I add glycine and taurine. And then usually I also have L-glutamine. I just ran out. I had to reorder it. But yeah, the methylene blue, it just gives it a nice blue color because otherwise it's like pink from the hydration formula.
Yeah, see now I generally have like some MDMA mixed with some LSD, then a little tiny bit of DMT mixed with a little tiny
Okay, that's very psychoactive, man. This is just nutrients,
Yeah, mine are nutrients. Mine are medicinal. What?
Okay, Ed. But one of the things that I liked about the methylene blue that I read is that apparently it helps with oxygen transport. So it helps your blood carry more oxygen, and that's always a good thing. More oxygen is good. But in terms of,
can I just say, the only thing they found different between Einstein's brain and everybody else's, he had more glial cells. So he actually had less.
I think he was in the womb a few months longer than normal people too. Like that was a strange thing about
maybe
it.
weeks. I don't think you could survive months longer.
But the point is, the point is, he had actually a really quite boring, rubbish looking brain when it looks at neurons. He did not look like a clever man. But what he did have was excess amount of glial cells. They're like the glue cells that stick the brain together. They're the ones that wrap around and make the myelin sheath. They're the ones that basically give you all the nutrients out of the blood. All the different things that come into the brain go via those glial cells. So the theory is that basically he just had a better way of feeding his brain. That
What?
the oxygen and the nutrients that the glial cells fed his basically rubbish neurons made him far cleverer than the rest of us. This is not about the neurons. It's about how much power you give them. And his brain was really set up to give it a lot of juice.
So here, one noticeable study from 1999 by Marion Diamond and colleagues examined sections of Einstein's brain and found that in a specific area of his parietal cortex, involving in spatial reasoning and mathematical thinking, he had a higher density of glial cells, particularly astrocytes, relatives to neurons compared to a control group of average men. The ratio
So
wasn't
do I
about...
know what I'm chatting about or what? Does that same story, talk
Yes.
about the geezer carrying around Einstein's head in a fucking tub in his car for a year?
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
Einstein's brain got stolen. Some
Wow.
Oh
guy
my
stole it
gosh.
from Einstein's head, even though he said he didn't want that to happen. Yeah, and then he thought he was so important that when he got divorced and lost his job and all this other stuff, he drove around living in his car with Einstein's brain in a jar next to him on the passenger seat. No lie, that's what happened. Go check
I
it.
believe you.
Wow.
Okay, so here, hold on. Astrocytes are a type of glial cell in the brain and the spinal cord, and they're multitasking powerhouses that keep the nervous system running smoothly. Named for their star-like shape, astro meaning star, they have a bunch of critical jobs, support and structure. They act like scaffolding, holding neurons in place and forming part of the blood-brain barrier, a protective filter that controls what goes in from the brain. Nutrient delivery. They ferry glucose and other nutrients from blood vessels to neurons. Chemical balance.
Okay,
They regulate the
wait a
levels
second,
of
dude.
ions.
Are you
Yeah.
just saying that he had more glial cells that then fed him more nutrients and oxygen from his blood?
This is basically
'Cause
what
that's
they're
kind of what it
doing.
said. And you said I'm not succinct. Ha!
What did I say? I don't know.
Wait,
There are
that's fantastic. I mean, now I'm thinking that I'm reminded of this study where they had people meditate on their telomeres in a jar or something in a little vial
Mhm.
separate from them, and just them meditating on lengthening the telomeres, even though they were not, not still in their body, they lengthened. And
Oh, cool.
they lengthened, and this was done several times. So it's just a pretty cool connection with how we can influence the physical matter
Mhm.
body with our consciousness. And I'm wondering if I meditate on increasing my astrocytes and visualize them multiplying, if I will be as smart as Einstein.
Yes. Yes,
I
that
think
is
that's a
an
very good
important part.
idea. And if you'd like to have a chat about how I believe that the entire this quantum consciousness thing links together, I'm so up for it at any point. But it would take all night, so you just throw it up. If you guys want to do it another week, and I'll just go through the lot. I've got hours and hours and hours of cool shit that I can explain about quantum consciousness. I'm just saying.
Yeah, because I think I remember something about them finding microtubules and microfilaments in our brains, which they were saying have to do with processing light and light containing packets of information, and it's all at the quantum level. And that's like how they're saying now in mainstream that consciousness may be generated through these I would call them extremely small strings of light and information moving almost at the speed of infinity, which is wild because that is, that's quantum, that's beyond the material. That's saying a lot.
Cool. So I made this table here. So that shows which nutrients help with astrocytes. So DHA, vitamin E protects it from oxidative stress. Vitamin C can reduce oxidative damage. Polyphenols from berries and dark chocolate reduce oxidative stress. B vitamins support neurotransmitter
Oxidative
metabolism.
stress.
Glutamate.
Oh, wait, like antioxidants are going to help. Are you sure?
Yes. A well, not in like the super thing, but vitamin E and vitamin C. Those were not ones that you can kind of overdose. It was the beta carotene or something that you could have too much of, and magnesium aids astrocytes ion regulation, prevents
You can have
cytotoxicity.
sorry, you can have too much vitamin E. It is fat soluble, so you
You
have to be careful.
okay? Yeah, I meant if you're following the directions, you shouldn't overdose on anything.
Oh yeah, if you're following the RDI.
Yeah,
Dose
yeah,
makes the
exactly.
poison, dude. Dose makes the poison.
Yes,
Which
exactly.
basically
You could
means
kill
at a
yourself
low
by eating too much
dose,
salt.
nothing's poisonous. So how are drugs illegal?
Yes. Well, there are places where drugs are illegal, like Portugal. or
Portugal
whatever.
rules. Go and look at Portugal's actual drug system and tell the rest of the world how fucking stupid they're being. What?
I hear you. Okay, so did we get that figured out then? Did we? What time is it? Okay, I guess we have time for another one. Okay. Okay, so how was your grandma? She good?
Oh yeah, she's doing well.
Oh, great.
I love grandmas.
Yes, I have two, paternal
Oh,
and
you're so lucky.
Oh, cool.
I
Yeah.
miss
I
mine.
have one left. She's in Ukraine, in Kiev.
wow.
Yeah. She's like, if the bombs get me, whatever. I'm not leaving, no.
I was gonna say she on the front lines, loading up machine guns for people and
Yeah.
tossing grenades into bunkers.
Combat grandma.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, no, yeah,
Yes.
she's not a combat grandma, but she likes to go on like long walks. She like walks 3 hours a day or something.
Oh yeah, she likes to go on long walks and take sniper shots at Russians. We know this.
No,
boy.
come on, man. We're basically all the same people. Like all of this war nonsense is just that's what it is. It's
Made by
nonsense.
America. So
Well, in the
Adam,
UK,
what are you going
unfortunately.
to say about this?
Yeah, the U.S. is trying to stop it now, but now kind of Europe was digging its heels in, and I don't know. Well, hopefully we'll have peace soon.
Yeah,
Anyhow.
yeah. Everyone's scared of Russia. Ooh, Russia. Ooh.
Yeah, we gotta have peace. Remember, even Russian people have
Got
a
a
divide
piece. The
within
Lord's
them.
going to get our asses kicked. Woo!
I have a question, Kuo. In the raw material, pyramids are mentioned, and the construction and very specific details of the pyramids and their use. My question, though, is more of what is it any benefit would there be to visualizing a pyramid? Say a pyramid visualization used for like meditation. Would that be a benefit?
We are those of Quo, and received your query, our sister. Indeed, the holding of an image in the mind, as you say, the visualization for a sustained period of time, is a tool not only of meditation, but of the white magician as well. Whatever image is held in mind, it is a mechanism of training and disciplining the attention in that great art of single pointedness. Though each image may also invite the consciousness of the self into exploration of different themes within its own being. In the case of that shape known to you as the pyramid, it may invite the self into a contemplation and an opening to that theme of transformation. For that is the bogest of this great shape, bogest of this great shape, that of the encountering of the self and the transcendence and transformation of that self.
All right. Well,
Makes
Kind of
sense,
ironic that Ed had that pyramid thing up earlier. They
right?
mentioned
yeah,
pyramid.
synchronicity. Synchronicity. I
It's
would
a
say
sign.
yes. All right. I guess I can. This is a short one, but I guess I'll make the blog posting for it. But
The pyramid is very. I like the wording that Quo has, where it's almost like they're saying as we use the pyramid in visualization, holding it in the mind, it can open us up to experiencing the transformation that the pyramid represents. So what I'm seeing is that you kind of go through, the more you're in meditation with it, an initiation and ascension, like all of your probably subtle bodies will cycle through this pyramid process. And so that's just a, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot to that. Like just the geometry itself can stimulate a lot of metaphysical awakenings.
Yes, yes. It's interesting that there is anything special about it. This is case of the shape known as the pyramid. It may invite the self into contemplation and opening to that theme of transformation. I'm wondering if it's because it's like thinner at the top than it is at the bottom, or
It's a representation of the upward spiraling light of the one infinite creator. It's like it's a physical embodiment, one physical embodiment to me of the movement of intelligent energy. And I would even say it's a movement of the one infinite creator, which is always spiraling from the source outward and outward back into the source. So I feel like the pyramid represents that from the base to the top. So you're kind of in this very symbolic but intense template of intelligent infinity and intelligent energy and how they move throughout creation.
yes, I guess it could also be a metaphor for how kind of like there's the whole expanse of all beings, and we're all moving towards the point of the one infinite creator.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I guess that's an acceptable image, even though I'm not sure that's geometrically a pyramid, but
They
close enough.
never get the geometry right. Like I asked for an emerald green dodecahedron and it could not give it to me no matter what. It kept giving
Yeah.
me icosahedron and I'm like, okay, let's go with it. And then
Yeah.
Joshua was like, that's not a dodecahedron. And I'm like, I know, but this is all AI can do.
Yeah, it's yeah, for those more specific ones you would need, you know what you could possibly do, and like OpenSCAD can give you a dodecahedron.
Okay.
But yeah, oh, Adam left. Oh, okay. Anyhow, so here I'll post this, and then I think we have time for another one. Okay, browse. Oh, there's Adam. Okay, the power of the pyramid. Okay, submit. And okay. Let's see. Yes, we have time for one more. Is there another query? Yes. Kuo. I all too frequently recognize that I do not spend nearly enough time in meditation, but I do spend time reading materials that tend to be spiritually motivational. I'm aware that it would be far more worthwhile to spend reading time in meditation instead. Can you, from your experience and awareness, estimate the amount of time that people on Earth spend in meditation or pursuing motivational materials to enhance their spirituality?
We are those of Quo and appreciate this interesting question, our brother. Our answer to this quantification of the time spent in meditation is not enough. You hear that?
Yeah. Fred would love to hear that if he was here.
The quote came for us all. Not
Yeah.
enough. Your people seem generally little inclined to exit or quiet the compulsive stream of thought and the march of forms through the mind for the time necessary to be with experience, to bring the attention to rest in the moment, and to be present with neither attachment nor aversion. But to your question, there are multiple ways to feed and nourish the spiritual being within the self that quite validly include this time spent with inspirational material, whether it is that which we share through instruments or the accounts and reflections of others. It is important to spend this time in study as well, particularly if the self feels called to this study. It is important to listen to the self's needs and inclinations. If the self is feeling drawn to that book because it lifts the perspective, helps one to feel contact with the ground of their being and with love of the Creator, helps the busy mind to disengage from its loops of worry and anxiety in order to tap into that infinite stream of inspiration that is ever available. Then, my friend, you have found a portal into your own source of contemplation and inspiration. And this is important. Consider that while you spend time in this reading, what you are not doing with that time. You are not, as many of your peoples are, engaged in the distractions of sleep and forgetting. You are not merely seeking comfort and gratification. Instead, you are engaging the gears of your own spiritual journey that you may feel that spirit more strongly and that it may not live within you simply for self benefit, but that you may be a brighter, better human being as you would see it, that you may be more available to the needs of love and to the voice of love, that may live in and through you to others. We would reflect how often this manifests for you, our brother, in the context of these meetings, as you open up and the eyes water and you share those heartfelt perceptions of your heart in free giving, and with the only desire being to support those gathered among you in this circle. If in your estimation you are feeling called to that great and central discipline of formal meditation and to feel that it is being neglected in your life, then this is a good grist for the mill. That is, it is good material for you to examine. Are you feeling such a call because of an idea that you had absorbed from some source like ours, or elsewhere that you, the entity, must be meditating and thus feel friction when not engaged in this practice? Or is it that you see that your own objectives, namely and most broadly, self realization and service to others, may be effectuated by this practice known as meditation? One must suss this out for the self and find out what the beliefs or the limitations of belief are and follow the heart accordingly. Once again, we would emphasize the value and utility of practice of concentrating the attention and quieting the mind for stepping out of the stream of consciousness and stepping into the infinite present moment where one may tabernacle with the Creator more directly and immediately in the lived experience of that moment. For it is well known to those in this circle that the thinking mind can lead one astray from the desired incarnational lessons, from perceiving more clearly the dynamic at hand, from those keys which might unlock the imbalances and blockages so that love and light might flow through a clarified heart. Whatever the tangle and complexity of the outer situation, abeyance of this thinking mind is needed for the seeker of truth, particularly in your world. It is a daily roar of countless sources of information and stimulation and societal and personal attempts at manipulation that bombard you each day anew. Even if you were removed from this context and situated upon a desert island, the sole inhabitant thereof, you would still bring this society with you into your consciousness and still benefit from learning to quiet the mind, that you may listen and hear that still small voice that goes unheard underneath the daily roar of the noise. Wow.
Very good. Yep.
So,
So
basically, yes, meditate more.
yes, yes. That makes me feel better about meditating with my child every morning.
Yeah,
So
it's really great work, and I find it interesting that Cole is saying, like, just the fact that we don't get time to quiet the mind, and that we're always bombarded with so much information and stimuluses, that can keep us from manifesting the incarnational uh, themes that we set when we came here. It can block the flow of us manifesting the events and the synchronicities and all the things that we plan to have happen here. So that's kind of bringing it home a little more, that it's really important.
yes, yes,
Like,
it's true.
because
And
you
this,
could. Oh, go ahead.
well, that's why I napitate, meditate, multiple times a day, just to help keep me on track. Because, like, well, I don't know, it probably doesn't work for everyone this way, but I just have this thing where I get easily tired. And then usually for me, that's a signal that, maybe there is, I lay down and then I usually am, I don't fall right asleep. It's actually more of a meditation.
Mhm.
And, but during this time, I kind of like quiet my mind and I allow, the inspiration to bloom. And then by the end of my napitation, then I have inspired on what it is that spirit wants me to do. Because if I'm working in consciousness, as in like without meditating, then I can just fill my brain with conscious thoughts and not let my subconscious through. But by laying down or like meditating and allowing the subconsciousness to rise up, then I can hear it. But it's also possible you don't have to go through the whole process, and just pausing and listening. But it's just easier if you do it in a quiet place, obviously.
Right. Until you get to the point where you associate background noise with like white noise and you can still zone in. And I know for some people, they need noise around them in order to really go inside of themselves. So I guess that will be more personal preference. And I'm also thinking that perhaps people would benefit from like several 5-minute meditations throughout the day, like your napitations, but you're sitting in your car, get in your 7 minutes, and then you have a
Yeah.
lunch break, 7 minutes, and then you're uh I don't know, it's you're waiting on dinner to finish cooking, take your 7 minutes. For the average person who really can't do a 30 minutes an hour meditation session, you can
Mhm.
just get those moments in.
Yeah, I did some research, and at least in terms of napping, the best thing is definitely more than 5 minutes. 5 minutes wasn't enough to achieve an effect, but yeah, 7 to 18 minutes is the sweet spot. Like basically like 10 to 18. If you get like even to 20 or over, then that makes people groggy. And so at least and I think there's a direct correlation to meditation, because what is the difference between napping and meditation? There's
Oh,
not a
goodness.
whole lot. And it's because when you're meditating,
I
what
don't
happens?
remember any of the dreams that I have when I nap. Whereas when I'm meditating and I'm conscious and I'm ready to go, I actually remember everything in complete recall. Now,
Okay,
when you're
well,
napping and when you're unconscious, yeah, the actual way that you're going to theta wave is different to the way you go to theta wave when you are daydreaming. But the
Right.
daydreaming state can actually be seen as the first level of sleep.
yes. Well, anyways, you go through the same brainwave states. except that in sleep you get down to delta, or you could get down to delta, though like it doesn't always happen that way.
I
Anyways,
also,
like some naps are pure alpha. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, I just don't like going unconscious. I feel like you have to maintain your consciousness. You can't say, like, if you don't remember anything, then you went to sleep. You did not meditate. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Fair enough. This is also true. This is also true. But yeah, I don't usually it's not that common where I nap and I go fully unconscious.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm very tired. And in terms of the white noise, instead of white noise, I use earplugs. But I
Ah,
know for some reason many of the females in my life don't like earplugs. So it's not for everybody.
well, I
But
like earplugs as long as they work. Some of them, they're just taking up space in your ears and you can still hear everything. But I guess if you have the good ones, it's okay.
yeah. Well, the idea is kind of they just make sounds feel a little bit farther away and a little
Okay.
bit less sharp,
So they're not actually supposed to cancel out all noise.
Yeah, they don't cancel out. They lower the volume by about 20 decibels.
Okay.
So
Uh,
for instance, if you're working with like a heavy machinery, then what you would do is you would put in the earplugs and then you would put the the big ones over it, and then you would get a 40 or 50 decibel drop depending
okay.
on the quality.
And one last thing I liked is that Cole also brought up that your meditation can be based on a single pointed focus. And for a lot of other selves just starting out, that might be the best. So, like, maybe you are uncomfortable with just sitting in the open sea of your own mind, and what things may come up, you're not able to handle that. Or some people get frustrated with, oh, I'm thinking, but the thinking stops after you've sat in the quiet long enough. But you can maybe bring up a triangle, like Ross said, or some kind of shape, anything that gives you a single pointed focus. That's also acceptable.
Yes.
I
Well,
have to
yeah.
say,
The
for
thing.
me, the first
Go
thing
ahead.
when I really saw the point in meditation, because I spent so many years doing the whole kind of Buddhist, lose yourself into nothing, sit in the moment, all the kind of mindfulness, and I actually didn't really find hardly any real help for me in it. Just to say, for many years, it was only really when I came back to it, in since my breakdown and since therapy and since whatever else, and reading Ra gave me the impetus to try doing it again, but in a functional way. And like really, when I think when you look at the difference between Eastern and Western meditation, that Eastern meditation is the point is you lose yourself into the meditation, and you're fine with you going. Whereas I think in Western meditation, the idea is you lose yourself in the meditation, and then you do the work. Right, and so I found that me personally, the reason I found meditation such a powerful, incredible thing is because you could go into a meditative state and things that you don't know, things that I've not experienced, things that I did not understand prior to, come to me in that meditative state in a way that I know for a fact I haven't made it up, because I know what happens when I make things up, and that isn't what happens. I know that it's not a dream because of 20 different parameters that basically use. I know what's going on.
Mm.
And so in meditation, when you get those things you do not expect, when you see those things that you could not predict, when you see them, and then you have to spend a few seconds trying to work out what the fuck I'm seeing here. Those are the things in meditation that show me that it's more than just us. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm very good with thinking stuff. I don't know if you guys noticed. I do quite a lot of the old thinking. Yeah. Meditation is very, very different to contemplation.
Yes.
Very, very different. Because
Yes,
meditation,
it's
you
more
take
about
information
listening.
from a different source.
Yes, and especially in like theta wave, you can gain a lot of information.
Dude,
From
honestly, if you guys are sitting there with beta wave playing for a few hours, mate,
Yeah.
I could hear things happening two doors down. Like literally like 50, 60 meters away, I would be able to hear the event in crystal clarity. Beta wave is awesome. Like when you're out and about and you actually want to do stuff, you actually want to be like, I just want to be superhuman today. Stick on some beta wave in the morning.
Yeah.
Hell,
I agree.
watch you just become superhuman.
Yes, I agree that beta wave is best for actually doing things. Like
For sure.
when you're up and about. Like it's not safe to do alpha or theta wave like if you're driving or something. You need to be beta or gamma. Your brain needs to be faster, not slower.
Yeah, I've always found theta to make me super drowsy and sluggish. So I actually do meditation in delta, and it helps with even more vivid dream recall too. Not all the time, but I really enjoy delta. I've never vibed with the theta, pure tone.
Oh, fair enough.
Gamma
how about
all the
Schumann
way.
resonance?
Just hardcore. Fry your brain. Gamma wave. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Electronic music. Yeah. I like electronic music too. But also, recently I've been more into the Mennonite music, but that's because that's where I go. But yeah,
What's
it's
Mennonite
past 9
music?
o'clock. Huh?
What's Mennonite music?
Oh,
I
Mennonite-
hope that I've shown you the small amount of like incredible stuff hidden in Psytrance. Yeah, the Andrii. Honestly, I'm amazed you have not got a Psytrance playlist by now. Where you just like,
Is that what it is?
I used to listen to a lot of psytrance.
Wow.
It's just I find it distracting.
Is it supposed to put you in trance?
Psytrance?
It's just too intense, right?
It's too intense for a trance, yeah, maybe. Here. Oh. Why did it turn off? Hold on a second.
Now imagine that, yeah, but with a fat bass line at about 140 BPM beat. I'm just saying, straight up dance music's got everything. You could take that, you could literally run all of those different choir voices through harmonics and turn them into bass lines if you wanted.
Right.
Hey, when's it drop?
Yeah, it doesn't drop. Yeah, but it's they're from my church.
Okay. Now put on Weirder by GMS.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, I'm trying. Weirder
It's
by
got the
GMS.
quote from Terence McKenna, the last one he made before he died, about how it's all just gonna get weirder and weirder and weirder until it's just so weird that people
I
can
Burn
have
and noise
questions.
weirder.
I think I saw that on a reel, Facebook reel. It's like a clip where he's talking.
I don't know.
It was the last thing
it?
it was recorded before he died.
Is this it?
I don't know. If Terence McKenna starts talking, all Psytrance sounds the same for the past first minute. I don't bloody know.
Okay. I like dubstep too. There it is. Terrence McKenna.
It is, yeah, it's Terrence McKenna.
It's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is, and at that point, novelty theory can come out of the woods. Because eventually people are going to say, what the hell is good?
Oh, yeah, come on. As if you don't want to skank about the room. Don't lie.
Yeah, it's more like a type of dance music, like really crazy dance music.
Yeah.
It's just too nuts. It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's nuts.
Go on, fucking Alex.
Well, all right. So just so I don't get like rate limited or whatever for copyright music. Okay.
Anyway, listening to that shit is easy to see why I'm so positive and, enlightened.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Any closing comments before we end the stream?
No, not for me.
Laura wants side charts rave in England. That's just my suggestion.
That would
Are
be
you gonna organize it? I
epic.
probably won't be able to attend though. It's
I
hard
never-
for me to leave Owen Sound.
Oh my god, I'm so gonna do a side charts album with just raw quotes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, could you imagine some of the cool shit you can stick in the side
would
charts
be
too? Just from
epic.
shit Ross said. Oh, it would be so good.
That would
That'd be
epic.
great. All right. So as we found you, we leave you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, in the infinite power and the infinite peace of the infinite creator within you, my friends. Adonai vos brados.
Love you all. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.